Hi everyone and welcome back. Today I have another baby video for you and I thought I'd sit and talk to you about my second trimester. I am now a couple of weeks into my third trimester and I thought I haven't really done weekly updates about my pregnancy because I just thought that would be too full on, bombard you with too much stuff. So I've written a list of just kind of like symptoms and how I found the second trimester and how it went for me, because I know that when I first got pregnant I was just watching these videos back to back, and especially in my second trimester it's always nice to know that you can relate to somebody else, or that somebody else is suffering with something that you're not suffering with, or that there's something that you haven't yet heard of that could happen, things like that. But we're just going to basically have a chat. It's about 7:30 at night tonight. I am filming this on Tuesday. This is going to go up on Wednesday. We have just got back from our antenatal class, which was really actually quite interesting. We learned quite a lot. It was all about kind of breastfeeding, bottle feeding, safe sleep, weaning, and what the health visitors do and stuff. So we learnt a lot, which is always a good sign, I think. So I thought, well, I'm still in like baby zone and I have got a full face of makeup on and I am dressed. We have the painters and decorators. I was just about to say we have the painters and decorators in at the moment, but I'm sure that's like a euphemism or a saying for something else that's not quite normal. I don't know where I've got that from. Is painters and decorators when you're on your period? I don't know. Anyway, that got very weird very quickly, but basically we have decorators here at the moment during the day from 9 till 5:30. They are painting different rooms and things for us, so I can't film during the day, so I thought I'd get this one done now while I'm almost a little bit more presentable than I have been for the rest of the day. So I would say the overwhelming thing for me in my second trimester, that if someone said to me, how was your second trimester, I would say emotional. Obviously you're tired. I think tiredness is just something that is consistent throughout pregnancy, but I was more tired right at the start and I feel like I'm going to be more tired right at the end. They say that this second trimester is the kindest on pregnant women, and I would kind of agree with that. It is, they call it like the honeymoon stage of pregnancy, because you've got over obviously that first not so nice bit that can affect a lot of women in a lot of nasty ways, with like morning sickness and just there's so many hormonal changes right at the start, and then obviously at the end you are very, very large, you're achy, you are getting ready to go into labour. So the second, that little bit in the middle, I would say is probably the best bit, and that's what people say, and so far so good for me. But I have been a lot more emotional. I find myself, I haven't really cried at stuff that I wouldn't usually cry at, but I have been a little bit erratic. So if there's been something that usually, well no, I have cried at stuff I shouldn't have cried at, but this really, Tom should be sat here telling you how I've been, but something that would normally upset me a little smidgen could make me cry for like a good few minutes more. So if you watch my weekly vlogs, you'll know that we bought quite a lot of furniture from IKEA recently that was damaged, and I sobbed my heart out. I was on the bed, I was literally like, my face was red raw, I was crying buckets, no exaggeration. It wasn't just I was a little bit upset, I was absolutely like devastated. It's like you feel every emotion more so, you're just more emotional. So if I've been really, really like up here, I've been really up here, and then if I've been really upset, I've been more so upset than usual. So that's been a little bit of a, but I am quite a sensitive person anyway, so Tom it's not scared him off. But yeah, the hormones have taken over a little bit. Also like physical things, so it's now, well, even the second trimester was towards the end of the second trimester, I would say, I was noticing it was getting a little bit more difficult to bend down. Now they recommend that when you get to that stage, you should be bending over less and you should be bending down. I have been noticing that I can't really bend over the bump. I would have to like literally bend my legs, and it is a lot easier, and that's what they recommend anyway. Definitely feel heavier. I feel like it's a little bit less easy to get around. The bump is now quite like in full force. Now I didn't do a bump shot in my first trimester video, I don't think, but I will show you on here. I think I put a picture in, but oh no, I can't really show you. That's why I didn't do it, because I'm now in my third trimester. I'll pop a picture in that I popped up on Instagram when I was in my second trimester. But the bump is definitely growing, and it's just, like leaning over things. I was in H&M and I was stood at the counter and he kicked and like physically pushed me away from the counter, and I forget, like I'll pull myself to tables where if we've gone out for something to eat and I like bang into the table because I forget that I've got this bump here. It's just little things like that that you kind of expect to happen, but then when they do, it's unexpected, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, let's do the last physical thing. It's not very nice, but it's a big one. And it is very much still a problem. It's still there. So varicose veins in pregnancy, still get very short of breath, but varicose veins in pregnancy is common. My mum had varicose veins with all of us four. She had 4 girls and she had bad varicose veins, and I was told that it is genetic, so that if my mum had had them, it's more likely that I will get them. Now, touch wood, every little single piece of wood that I can manage to touch, I will touch. I haven't had varicose veins in my legs yet. I have, however, had varicose veins in my vulva, or on my vulva, around my vulva. They are not going anywhere, I don't think, until after I give birth to little baby boy. Now, I'm talking about this because whenever I've mentioned this to like a midwife or people that I know, they've all said, oh, I've heard that's quite common in pregnancy. I'd never ever heard of it before. I didn't know it was a possibility. I know that our bodies are going through changes and that things can happen, but I didn't know that this was an actual thing. And it would have just been nice to know. When I told my mum, she was like, oh yeah, I had those. And I was just like, why did nobody tell me about this? Why isn't this a thing that people talk about? Because it would have been so nice, because it did get quite scary. So before I realised what they were, before I'd had a look at what they were, one of them burst. So I'd gone to the toilet and there was a lot of blood, which obviously in pregnancy is never a sign that you want to see. I know like a little bit of spotting and things like that is normal, but what had happened to me that day was not normal, and it was very, very scary. And then when I looked and I saw kind of what was going on, put 2 and 2 together and realised that's what it was, and everything's fine. It doesn't harm the baby, it's not, there's no like negative effect, it's just the buildup of pressure and the buildup of blood and all the strain that's obviously on that area and the pelvic area. So that is very much a real thing for me at the moment. It's now getting to the point where it's a little bit uncomfortable, because I think now obviously the bump is heavier, there's more pressure, so it's just going to get more uncomfy. But I've just been told that it'll be fine. The midwives like to know about it because just in case, but there's nothing they can do. It's just all about kind of like regular movement, not sitting down for too long, not standing up for too long, which again is something that they tell you quite commonly in pregnancy. But I just wanted to tell you all, because some of them are just like little spots and some of them you can see as an actual like caterpillar, like vein, so that you're aware, because I wasn't, and it was petrifying. It's not very nice, but we're all adults, we're all human, and giving life to another human, and this is just something that is part and parcel of it for my pregnancy, I suppose. But with regards to other symptoms and things like that, I have been very, very lucky, and I don't take that for granted. So I'm quite happy to sit here with my varicose veins on my vulva and just get on with the rest of the 9 weeks that we've got left. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say. 2 other things that I've noticed: hygiene and hygiene OCD has definitely been a thing. So I will use a towel, wash the towel. Normally I would use it for 3 to 4 uses. I think that's perfectly normal, is it, when you use a towel? No one really tells you what to do when you're younger. But I now, once I've used a towel, I will wash it straight away. I'm changing the bed sheets a lot more often, and I never used to leave them a long time anyway, but it's like, you know, just more often. I'm very much more conscious of having the house clean, of cleaning work surfaces. If I see like a little, like before, for example, if I was making my tea and I dropped something on the side, I would just go back and clear it up after I'd eaten. But now I do it before I've eaten. And I think it's all part and parcel of the nesting stage. I have noticed, like, I've done so much tidying and like sorting out in the house, getting rooms how we want them, getting these painters and decorators in. Nesting has definitely been a thing for me, and it definitely started early on in the 2nd trimester. Definitely noticed that I've been just wanting everything in the house perfect, probably driving Tom up the wall, and just trying to get everything, not even in his nursery, because his nursery, he's not going to be in there. We're going to co-sleep, so he's going to be in our room for the first up to 6 months. So it's not even a massive thing that the nursery's ready, but I want it to be ready for when he's here. My appetite has definitely increased. Now, a lot of people have been asking me lots of questions about my gastric sleeve surgery and my appetite and what I've been eating and things like that. Now I did do a video on pregnancy after gastric sleeve, and I'm going to write a blog post just to kind of update you now on the end of my pregnancy. So if the angles changed a little bit at all, I just had to quickly change the battery. So as I was saying, I'm going to do a blog post on my gastric sleeve and my appetite and stuff. Being pregnant, your appetite's increased, that you should be eating more calories towards the end of your pregnancy, but I have a lot smaller stomach than your average Joe. So obviously there's a topic there to talk about. Now I have already touched on it because there wasn't really that much to say right at the start, and to be honest there's not that much more now, but I know a lot of you have been interested in that. So rather than do another video on it, I'm going to just write it up in a blog post, so that will be coming up soon. My appetite has increased a little bit. I noticed that I'm just wanting to snack more during the day, and also I really have to be in the mood for something to eat something. So if I really want an apple and we've got no apples in the house, I will go and buy an apple. And if, like Tom could say, do you want mashed potato for tea tonight? And I really won't want mash. I have got very, very fussy with what I'm eating, which I wasn't really that fussy before. So that's definitely been a bit of a slight shift. With regards to actual cravings, I've got a little bit of a list here. I went off chocolate for quite a while in my second trimester. I really had to be in the mood for it, and it wasn't that often. And I'm really a chocolate lover, so that was a bit strange for me. But a few things that are still apparent now: toasted tea cakes. So if you follow me on Instagram or you watch the weekly vlogs, you'll have seen that I have developed this thing for toasted tea cakes. I now have one every single morning after my cereal. I also have been really, really enjoying blackcurrant and lemonade. So I have Vimto, sugar-free Vimto with sugar-free 7-Up, and it's just the nicest combination. I always liked a glass of blackcurrant lemonade before I was pregnant, but never enjoyed it as much as I enjoy it now. And also Fab ice lollies. That's been something that I think obviously because of the hot weather as well, and I do think it's quite a common thing in pregnancy that women like crave like the ice pops, ice lollies. I've really developed a bit of a thing for Fab ice lollies too. And that's all I can think of really craving wise, because everything else it's just been what I fancy and when. With regards to baby and all our checks, everything has been fine. He's growing perfectly. We had our last scan at 28 weeks because I'm having them a little bit more often. As far as they can see, everything is fine. He's developing perfectly. We've got another scan in a couple of weeks. I've gone from a size 12 in maternity bottoms to a size 14 because it's so much more comfier. I was a 12 from right at the start and things were a bit baggy on me, and now I tried on a pair of leggings in a size 12 the other day. They were maternity leggings, and I was just like, this bump's going to need more room to grow. So I got the 14. So I have, he is growing, and I have put on weight, I can tell, but that's all part and parcel of it. There's a lot more movement from him as well in the second trimester. He was just wriggling around like crazy, and I definitely noticed that more. And they seem to kind of develop a little bit of a pattern, which is good because you can kind of get to know when he's moving, and it can kind of show you signs of when maybe he normally moves but he's not moved for a few days or like a couple of days at that time. I don't know, it's just good to keep your eye on it, I think. But he has been moving around. He started hiccuping in the second trimester. That's something that they tell you, and that is a really weird sensation. That's like not anything that he'd already done before that you'd felt. It's very, very strange. He wriggles and it ripples and he moves around, but it's lovely. It's really nice. It's been one of my favourite parts, and quite often I notice, and I don't know if this is coincidence, but if he kicks and I put my hand on my tummy, he'll like kick twice more as if he's like, hiya, I'm here. And they are a lot more responsive to sound as well in the second trimester because they've developed hearing. So when the dogs bark or if there's like a loud noise, he's definitely more active, and you definitely tend to notice it. That they say that when you're out and about, baby is asleep, you won't feel much movement because you've kind of rocked him to sleep with your movements. But as soon as you stop and you sit down or you lie down in bed, that's when he goes crazy. So at around midnight for us, that's when he's like most active, which is quite nice because we have this little bit of a thing before we go to sleep where we like sit and we talk to him and he's wriggling around. So and obviously Tom's always here at that time as well. When it happens during the day, and if Tommy's not here, it's not quite the same. So it's nice that we can share that together. I think that's it. I've probably missed something off my list. Oh, baby brain. let's just talk about baby brain. Baby brain is not a myth. I thought it was a myth. I thought it was just an excuse that women, well, not an excuse, but that it was a thing, that it was very easy to say that when you're pregnant. Oh no, it's not a myth. Let me tell you, I drop everything. I'm so clumsy. I forget everything. I'm getting so confused. I'll go and do something like, so before I was packaging up a new look parcel, as you do, and I was like, there's no return sticker on this. I'm gonna have to go and print one off. There's no return sticker on it. I literally just stuck it on the front of the parcel. It's things like that. It's things where you literally have no recollection of something that you've just done or a conversation that you've just had, and just, I don't know, it's very, very strange, but it's definitely been very apparent for me. I hope for everyone else's sake that it doesn't last that much longer. If you've got any questions or anything like that, then leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you, because I probably have missed something out, but I'm so honest and open about this like whole thing, so if there's anything that I can help with, I will. Thank you all for being so lovely so far with everything. I honestly have the best people watching me, and just interact, like this community. I know it sounds really cheesy, but you are all, whenever I have like a little doubt or a question, you're there like immediately, and I honestly can't thank you enough. And I see you all talking to each other in the comments and liking other people's comments, and you're just all so lovely. And the ones of you that have had advice to give me on my pregnancy, I know that some people can be a bit thingy about advice, and I'm always open to listen to other people's advice. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to take it on board, but you've all given like the best advice and some really interesting like comments and advice, and I just want to say a massive thank you, because this journey has been so much different to how I think it would have been if I didn't have all of you lot and I wasn't making these videos, and I don't want it to go unnoticed. So anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm waffling. That was gonna be a mixture of waffling and rambling on as usual. I'm gonna go get some tea, but I just don't know what I want as per usual. It's driving Tommy a little bit mad, I think, but I hope you're all having a lovely week. I will see you when I next see you. Might be Saturday with my next video. It depends when I can film with the painters being here. But yes, thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon.